tuning is one of the many things that you can do in this game. So today, I'm going to be showing you guys the full comprehensive guide to tuning inside of Selfless Shooter. So around the map, there is 3 different locations for a modification shop. First one is going to be Sense of Performance, which is right by the firefighter spawn. There is Jesse's Mechanic Shop, which is going to be right by the bummer. And lastly, it's going to be the customization shop right at the dealership. It's going to be right here. And some parts of the tuning is actually going to require a game pass, which is going to be the car colors plus, the car reflectance, and the advanced tuning. Alrighty, let's get started on the actual tuning part. Alrighty, once you made it to your shop, all you gotta do is enter here. And once you're inside, this customize UI is going to pop up. When you click on it, and then you're gonna see 3 sections right here. We have the paint, performance, and the wheels. So for the paint, we have factory paint, custom paint, and reflectance. For the custom paint, you can use an HSL color picker to choose whatever color you like, or you can simply choose a factory paint just like this. And sometimes you will see this accessory here. So for example, this GT500 has a blue stripe. Once you click this, you can actually take the stripe off. And with reflectance, it's pretty self-explanatory. The more you turn it up, the more reflection the car has, and at less, it's going to turn matte. Alrighty, now let's get into the performance section. Here we have the engine portion. There's going to be stage 1 all the way to stage 3. The higher the stage, the more base power your car is actually going to get. And of course, this is going to affect your acceleration and your speed, as you can see right here. Next, we have the force induction. There's going to be turbocharging and supercharging. Turbocharging has 3 stages as well as supercharging. It's used to increase the density of intake air. The higher the stage, the more power your vehicle is going to get. Next up, we have brakes. Pretty self-explanatory. The higher the stage, the more brake power your car is actually going to have. And then there's going to be the brake bias. This allows you to modify the percentage of brake force between the front and the rear wheel. And next, we have the weight reduction. There's going to be 3 stages. For the street, it's going to remove 100 pounds. The sport one is going to remove 250, and the race one is going to remove 500 pounds. For the tires, it is very self-explanatory. If you want your car to be mainly for drifting, just choose shift tires, and if you want your car to be more grippy on the ground, choose the grip tires. Next, we have the transmission. We have the street, sports, and race. The higher the stage, the less shift time you will actually get when driving your car. Next, we have suspension. Now, this is where it's going to require your advanced tuning game pass. With the game pass, you can now modify a number of variables individually. We have the rear suspension and the front suspension. Now, here we have the stiffness. It's how much the suspension travels when going over a bump. When you turn this up, it's going to go over the bump smoothly, and if you turn it down, it's the opposite. Now, the dampening is how quickly your suspension turns to set right height after a bump. Now, here we have the pre-compress, or we can call it default compress. This way you can adjust how compressed the springs are by default. This is also where you can adjust your ride height without stiffness. And the extension limit is how high your car actually goes without hitting the bump. Now, the extension limit is actually in the word. It's how far the suspension will extend without any weight on your car. Same for the compression limit. The compression limit adjusts how far the suspension will compress when completely bottom out. Now, the wheel width is pretty self-explanatory. That's where you can widen your wheels to your liking. Next, we have wheel size. Again, pretty self-explanatory. You can customize your wheel size to your liking. Now, here is the camber. Again, it's self-explanatory. The more negative camber you have, the more your wheels actually like stick out. And we have positive camber. It is when your wheels actually turn inwards to your car. Now, here we have offset. This way you can adjust the offset of your wheels. As you guys can see, this is what it does. It brings your wheels more outwards or inwards to your vehicle. Now, here we have the steering. Now, the steer speed is pretty self-explanatory. It is how quickly your wheels actually turn. The return speed is how quickly your wheels will return after steering. Now, for steer decay, this dampens the steering responsiveness after a set speed. For example, as you can see, the value is set to 156. After this speed, the more your steering will actually dampen. Now, here we have the steer ratio. This is going to be the ratio of the steering rack. By default, it is set to 9, giving it a 9:1 steering ratio. A 9:1 steering ratio in simple terms means for every 9 degrees of steering wheel turns, the wheels will return 1 degree. Now, here we have the lock select, which is pretty relative to the steer ratio. It is how many degrees you can actually turn your wheels. Now, here we have the Ackerman. I will show you guys this in action. So if I turn this up and purchase it, as you can see, when I steer right, you can see that this wheel has way more angle than this wheel. This is just the angle of the turning wheel when steering. For example, if you're turning left and your Ackerman is increased, your left wheel will have a higher angle than your right wheel. If you have a decreased Ackerman, then your left wheel will have less angle than your right wheel. Here we have the Euro tuning. Here we have the steer damp. There's going to be the overall damping of the steering across any range of speed, similar to steer decay. Here we have the steer aggressiveness, which is basically the opposite of steer damp. But the last one is going to be the minimum steer decay. It's the minimum minimum that your wheels will turn at a max speed. For example, if your starter kit is set to 150 and your minimum starter kit is set to 15, then at 150 miles per hour, your wheels will steer by 15 degrees less than at 0 miles per hour. So that's just steering. And for the drivetrain, it is pretty simple. You can either make your car rear-wheel drive powered, all-wheel drive powered, and front-wheel drive powered. Then we have the differential. So I'm gonna go with all-wheel drive for this. Once you set your drivetrain to all-wheel drive, now you will see that your differential has rear differential and front. You can adjust the front and rear differentials independently on the all-wheel drive cars, and you can also adjust how much power goes into either the front or rear wheels. For example, if you have an all-wheel drive car, you can make your car handle more like a rear-wheel drive car or a front-wheel drive car with just the differential. If your car is in rear-wheel drive, it's going to look like this, and if your car is in front-wheel drive, it's going to look like this. Now here we have the rear differential. It's going to be power, coast, and preload. When you increase the power, the rear differential will lock under throttle more. This is used primarily if you want the car to slide more on throttle. Now the coast is basically the opposite of power. When increased, the rear differential will lock under deceleration. This is used primarily when you want the car to slide more off throttle. For example, entering a corner. Then we have the preload, which adjusts how aggressive the differential will lock. For example, if you wanted a completely open differential, you would set the preload low. If you wanted a welded differential, you would set it high. And lastly, we have the gearing, which is essentially final drive. With a long gear ratio, this is going to cause you acceleration, but it's going to give you a higher top speed, and it's vice versa for a shorter gear ratio. This is going to give you more acceleration, costing you top speed. If you boys found this video helpful, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below what you guys thought about it. And by all means, please join my Discord server. If you enjoyed this video, I highly recommend checking out the one above me.